All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course. Unpause and repause. Yes, indeed. We've got lots of news to cover today. Some good shit here. We've got a whole screed by Donald Trump with regards to his drug plan for pharmaceuticals and so forth. I'm going to read that verbatim. I've got it queued up here. That one's fairly important. I think that's probably the biggest news of the day. I have mixed feelings with regards to this. Generally speaking, the odds of, lowering drug prices, well, that's a good thing. That idea is really good. I'm not a big fan of price controls, though. Barabak, if Gavin Newsom wants to be president, he's got work to do, starting at home. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Gavin Newsom, trust me. Klobuchar, coming out in favor of judicial activism. She's saying the silent part out loud with this particular one, so we'll have to get into that. How part-time jobs became a trap. Again, mixed feelings, nuance mode here. Yeah, part-time jobs, having a side gig or something like that, a side hustle, is actually a good thing. But people should not be in an economy that forces them to do so in order to fucking survive. Just saying, I think that that's pretty common sense. Medieval Tale of Merlin and King Arthur found hiding as a book cover. Yes, indeed. We're going to read some of that verbatim too, actually. I find that fascinating. I'm a bibliophile. I like archaeology. I like linguistics. So, yeah, that one. An illuminated manuscript inside of another illuminated manuscript. That sounds like it's right down my alley, actually. So, yes, we'll be clanking on, and it'll be great. Chili dog. Got it, thanks. Any advice on a greenhouse? If you can afford it, just get any sort of standard greenhouse, like an 8x10 or something like that. It depends on the size of your garden. I've got big plans, for example, for my garden, but this is an eventuality. This won't happen for a number of years. Until then, just a simple spring house will do. Couple $100, you just erect it. Make sure to take it down at the end of the season if you're in an area that gets quite considerable snow. And that's all you have to do. BB guess that feeling when catching Stick 666 live. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. No name, N-word, Heil, H-word. Yes, indeed. Kanye's new song, I have analyzed it twice. It is actually quite multifaceted when you think about it. Just saying. Mulgara, Clank, did you see that ukulele cover of the new Kanye song I sent you a couple of days ago? No, I didn't actually get the link, I guess. Geist082, did you hear that CERN turned lead into gold? Yes, they did that years ago, actually. A Japanese scientist back in the 70s used a laser to do the same thing. It's just not economical. Yes, it is possible to turn one element into another under the right circumstances. Lead can actually be turned into gold. It's just you're only getting a few particles of it. It's basically you just spent $1 billion to create $10 worth of gold, so it doesn't really work. Emperor Soft Turtle, did you ever watch Metalocalypse? Of course I have. Which millennial didn't? Anyways, we're going to get to our sponsors first before we get to the news. First and foremost, we have cultivated-mind.com. You can get your doggy dose. This will prevent your doggo from getting sick and be good for their hair, their bone structure, and many other things. It's got 6 dual activated, and I don't know what dual activated actually means, admittedly speaking, mushroom extracts in it, and so you can get that. You can also get, of course, Radiant Energy, which I use every single day. I took mine today. There's a reason why I'm so energetic. And also Immune Renew and other things as well available there. We've got BiltongUSA.com. Use code STICKS, by the way, on all of these sites for a discount. BiltongUSA.com can cite you up with all of the biltong that you want. You've got Cabernet, you've got Angus, you've got Wagyu, you've got game meat, you got basically everything. And anytime that we talk about Biltong USA, we must have a little bit of Bovrite. Anton will say, too salty. I'm saltier than the salty army. Haha, salty cracker. Eat your heart out. You gotta get him some of this stuff. Gotta get his address. Give him a container. He'd probably love that. You can also get Stick, Sex, and Hammer cups, mugs, and shirts available now as well. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is JAMN Bean.com. I think I still have one of the teas here, actually. I don't have the coffee in here because I had to start drinking it. I need more. Please, Jam and Bean, please send me more. This is the Yunnan Jig. That's what I'm talking about. We've got Clanker coffee available. We've got various teas. There are other coffees available as well. There's the Panama blend. There's, I think, several dozen of them, actually. So, up in the morning, you grab a cup of coffee, right? Then you eat a handful of biltong. Take your mushroom pills, and then later on, when you're relaxing, you have a little tea. It works for everyone. I love my sponsors, I really do. I see Anton is there. Too salty, as usual. Well, you know what? I'm trolling you today, man. It's not too salty for me. I enjoy doing that. Honestly, I think it tastes delicious. Like, you put a teaspoonful of that in some soup broth, would probably be just about perfect. You wouldn't need to add as much salt. I like to add celery salt to my soups. Celery salt, Himalayan salt, it kind of depends on what recipe you're making. But the Bovrite, the Bovrite is right. Let's put it that way. Anyways, we're going to get to the original gangsta Donald Trump quote. This is from Truth Social, replicated on Twitter, link in the description. For many years, the world has wondered why prescription drugs and pharmaceuticals in the United States of America were so much higher in price than they were in any other nation, sometimes being 5 to 10 times more expensive than the same drug. It's regulatory. Manufactured in the exact same laboratory or plant by the same company. It was always difficult to explain and very embarrassing, because in fact there was no correct or rightful answer. The pharmaceutical and drug companies would say, for years, that it was research and development costs, that all these costs were, and would be, for no reason whatsoever, borne by the suckers of America alone. Campaign contributions can do wonders, but not with me, and not with the Republican Party. The latter I disagree on, of course. We are going to do the right thing, something that the Democrats have fought for many years. Therefore, I am pleased to announce that tomorrow morning, in the White House, at 9 a.m., I will be signing one of the most consequential executive orders in our country's history. Prescription drug and pharmaceutical prices will be reduced almost immediately by 30 to 80%. They will rise throughout the world in order to equalize, and for the first time in many years, bring fairness to America. I will be instituting a most favored nations policy, whereby the United States will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price anywhere in the world. Our country will finally be treated fairly, and our citizens' healthcare costs will be reduced by numbers never even thought of before. Additionally, on top of everything else, the United States will save trillions of dollars. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. Now, here's a multifaceted response to this. I do not believe in price controls. Tying American prices to other nations, though, is not really a price control at all, now is it? If a nation is paying 10 cents for a pill, and the United States is paying $2 for the same pill, we are getting bilked now, aren't we? So this is different from the other kind of price control methods that you've seen. Normally, It's very internal. So you say, you can't charge more than X amount of dollars for this prescription or something like that. This is simply tying it to the free market, or supposedly the free market. If a pharmaceutical company is offering a bottle of pills to another country for 50 cents, and it's charging $50 to a person in the United States, well, I mean, I can kind of understand that the equalization will be there. They'll have to pay more, we'll be paying a lot less. I am, by the way, confounded when I see liberals complaining about this particular situation. This is what Bernie Sanders has been arguing for decades and decades. He's giving you a progressive drug prescription pricing option, and you're complaining about it. He's actually managing to do what the far left has wanted to do for 50 years. Why are you complaining? And by the way, at the same time, we would be, reticent if we did not mention this. People on the economic right that have argued against such measures are now praising them. I'm not a hypocrite. I realize the conundrum that is currently happening as a result of this particular thing. I generally support it. It is true that prescription prices are through the roof. They should not be as high as they are. That's mostly due to government regulation, but if you attempt to circumvent that by tying in the local price, the internal price, with foreign prices, you could do worse. Absolutely. You could absolutely do worse. And many administrations have done so. Tigers are my totem. Morning, Sticks. I'm heading in for test to see if I have the scary seed. Please wish me luck and see if the clankers will send happy thoughts. Thanks. I'm sure you'll do fine. Happy thoughts to you. Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't make sense. If a pharmaceutical company based in the United States is making like a bottle of pills, let's say it costs $10 internally, but it only costs 5 cents in Rwanda, that doesn't really make any sense. We're basically subsidizing people in third world countries at that point. Now, I don't have any problem with supplying resources to people in impoverished nations. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that there are plenty of impoverished people within our own country. Lots of them. Virtual Face World. All right, everyone. Now it's time to talk about clankers.net. Our site is designed to be the ultimate hub for clankers to share personal projects, drop news, exposés, and discuss interesting topics. Interesting. Sticks, drink some water if you're gnawing on that salt lick. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. It's not really a salt lick, though. Mostly it's... the hell is in Bovrite? It tastes a lot better than Marmite or Vegemite, by the way. Vegemite's better as a spread, like on toast or crackers or something. In fact, I might have some later. It is delicious, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a huge fan of the Marmite, though. Yeah, I mean, it's literally just a beefy extract. You can definitely use it as a soup base, though. We subsidize the healthcare of NATO, this Mulgara, nations because we're the military arm of NATO. Were other countries forced to actually have a military, their healthcare costs would go off. Yeah, that's the thing. And this is also something that Trump has addressed. Trump has pointed out other NATO nations need to pay their fair share. It was funny because in the interim between his 2 terms, under Joe Biden, other NATO nations, generally speaking, rose to those terms. They did that because they were afraid of the Russians. But it doesn't really matter why they did it. They did the right thing anyway. Now, some of these countries effectively have no goddamn military. Have you seen the number of main battle tanks in some of these countries? Now, some of them do a little bit better. Poland, they've rearmed completely. The Germans are rearming, which should probably worry people. Greece has like 1,000 main battle tanks and a bunch of submarines and crazy shit like that. Turkey, which is in NATO, they have a beefy military too. It's one of the top 10 in the world. We've got other allies like the Egyptians that have beefy militaries. And of course, France and Britain, they form the mainstay of the backbone of NATO other than the United States. They both got nuclear weapons. But overall, a lot of the countries really, they're not pulling their own fair share. They're not pulling their weight. That's been the perpetual problem. But nobody ever dared to raise the issue until Donald Trump came along. Then he said, well, I'm just going to kick you out of NATO if you don't do what you need to do. And they said, oh shit. And then they started doing what they needed to do. Yes, Soleil, Greece is apparently ahead on paying off their debt by 10 years. Yeah, Greece does it best, actually. Oh, the Greeks are still goddamn fighters. Mulgara, I mean Canada's military is basically a single biplane armed with a shotgun, and they talk down to America because we don't have free healthcare. Damn snow Mexicans. I had a weird dream last night, and I had a shotgun, and it was an automatic version, and I was being attacked by zombies, and I was just blowing them away, and but it had birdshot in it. So it wasn't that effective, and so I was trying to hold my own, surrounded by zombies. I have weird dreams sometimes, just saying. Barabak, if Gavin Newsom wants to be president, he's got work to do, starting at home. And there's a picture of him, he's like, like that. Let me tell you about Gavin Newsom. There is no possibility that he will become president of the United States. Between the methamphetamine shuffle, which he quite clearly was doing that other time, and his lack of charisma, and his hypocrisy, I can't imagine that the American people would be dumb enough to vote for him. Now, there are Democrats that are viable, but the two big ones that are being mentioned are the least viable of them. Gavin Newsom and, ironically, Kamala Harris, former Vice President of the United States. She already lost once, okay? Well, technically twice, because she lost the primaries and then got gobbled up as the running mate because Biden's an old white dude and he wanted somebody relatively younger and of an ethnic complexion. She's not capable of winning. There is no possibility in the world that Kamala Harris will ever be your president. So, you should say your prayers tonight and thank God, because that would be bad. Gavin Newsom, likewise, is uniquely unqualified. He is the opposite of a charismatic. So, while he is coherent, unlike Joe Biden, he doesn't really inspire anything in people. And he's a hypocrite, and so forth. He's not going to become president of the United States. He would have, yes, a great deal of work to do. The problem is that this is the internet era. The internet never forgets, especially in the archive everything movement. There's no way that Gavin Newsom, I believe, can sanitize his political career to the point where he would actually be viable. I can't imagine that he would be able to do that. If it were somebody more skilled, if it were somebody more intelligent, maybe they would be able to pull it off. Newsom does not strike me as the sort of person who falls under those categories. Unfortunately for him, with the French laundry incident, when, you've got a mask mandate, but you're not wearing a mask and you're in a public appearance, that didn't go over so well. I can't imagine that he's going to be capable of actually sanitizing his political career. I can't imagine that he's capable of doing so, no. Mulgara, I know we disagree on this, but man, I'd love it if we pulled out of NATO. NATO should have ended in 91. Foreign military entanglements aren't a good idea. Free trade is fine, though. I do agree with you, but we have to be pragmatic at the same time. People are talking about the Allman Brothers. I think I've got one of their albums, actually. The Allman Brothers. I'm pretty sure that I have one. Yeah, I like that. I've got Inagata Devita. I've got Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. I've got all sorts of cool shit. I wish that I had an album, first release of Coven, actually. That would be great. Man. Geist, who's more unpalatable to the public, Newsom or AOC? Generally AOC, but when Newsom does the methamphetamine shrug off, which he's literally done on several different occasions, when he does the meth shuffle, that definitely, yeah, that's it's quite a turnoff, I think, to the public. Denny, Sticks, what is going on with Trump and Israel at the moment? At the moment, all is quiet on the Western Front, but it won't be that way for very long. I'm sure. Mulgera, do you prefer CD or vinyl? Vinyl. Vinyl, absolutely. Maybe I'll send you my favorite album of all time, Scenes from a Memory by Dream Theater. Oh, I like Dream Theater. Yeah. King of Biltong, did you see Macron, Starmer, and Mers with the baggy on the table fiasco? No, I didn't, actually. Kevin Berg, mayor of Newark, just arrested? That I've got to look up. Give me a second. Oh, yeah. Roz Braca shocked by lies about his arrest at ICE detention center. I'm going to look into this. They did arrest him, yes. He was protesting an ICE detention center. The mayor has maintained that he was not at the site on Friday in protest. He said he was there to participate in a press conference with a congressional delegation, including Representatives Bonnie Watson Coleman, Rob Menendez, and Lamanica McIver. Watson Coleman said the trio showed up unannounced because they planned to inspect the facility, not take a scheduled tour as previously reported. She also accused the Department of Homeland Security of being intentionally misleading with the information they released in the wake of Baraka's detainment. You know what? I actually believe that. Why does this seem like an Eric Adams moment? Why does this seem rather similar? Okay, the mayor decided to show up and tour the facility and give a press conference. I don't think that that's illegal. I'm pretty sure that it's legal. Taco Woman Sandy Ravage. Ye's more punk than most punks these days. Yeah, unless you count Johnny Rotten. He'll still do this, you know? And be like, what the fuck? Copium Poppies. Some little L libertarian should infiltrate the Democrat Party and run for president as a Democrat. Be a good idea. It'd take several decades, though. Mulgera. Roz Braca sounds like the damn Mortal Kombat character. The hell? Yeah. Oh, King of Biltong sent me the link. Let's see if my messages actually open. It's hit or miss. Let's put it that way. They're not loading yet. I will try. I will do everything within my power. My power is significant. Tonight is the flower moon, by the way. Very auspicious. Well, I'll see if it loads. Amy Klobuchar, meanwhile, coming out in favor of judicial activism quite clearly. Link in the description. Watch it for yourself. You know, you can take the link because I don't archive RCP articles anymore because they helped me to analyze a shit ton of politics and polls. Senator Amy Klobuchar, we're not in a constitutional crisis as long as the courts continue to stand up against Trump. Oh, how lovely. And I love her smarmy, goddamn smug-ass face that everyone in the world would love to punch out. She looks exactly like the mother from Coraline, actually, only not as attractive, I suppose. She's been doing this for years. So she's now encouraging literal judicial activism. So the idea is, no, there's no constitutional crisis. It's just that the courts have to impede everything that other branches of government are attempting to do. So you're not allowed to have your border wall. You're not allowed to crack down on crime. You're not allowed to deport people. You're not allowed to conduct diplomacy. You're not allowed to fire federal workers. You're not allowed to regulate the budget. You're not allowed to do anything. Basically, you're just fangless. That's literally what she's saying here. Watched the whole clip, actually. And the smugness, the smarminess. She's the worst. Literally, Klobuchar pisses me off more than any other member of Congress. If there was one person that I could, preclude from ever running for office again, I think that honestly I would choose Klobuchar. I'd rather see AOC run for office. She's less smug, less smarmy. At the very least, she knows how to mix a drink. Klobuchar only knows how to drink them. That's the whole problem. But look at her face during this particular interview, if you get a chance to do so. What do you see? This is the HR spokesperson / smarmy, hey, finger-wagging individual. That's what you see. Virtual face world. Calling all clankers. Do you want meet like-minded individuals on a self-hosted social media platform made for fans of this live stream? Members-only chat room is live 24/7. Join clankers.net. Copium Poppies. The other mother from Coraline is a MILF. Yeah, I wouldn't fuck the button-eyed lady. No, just saying. No, she looks more like the original mother. She's got like the same hairdo, the same attitude, holier than thou and smarmy and shit like that. It's just like I can't imagine. Klobuchar will probably never run again. By the way, this is the saving grace. I think that she's learned her lesson. She's just not going to cut it. The Democratic Party doesn't really want her there. But she still constantly rambles about political issues. So it's like, okay, you're literally encouraging the courts to impede the executive office. That makes a lot of sense. That's a great idea. Don't let him do anything. No, Donald Trump is uniquely, individually evil, and he is orange, so therefore bad, and stuff like that. I think that Trump should come out, by the way. This would be a hilarious troll. Can you think about this? Trump should come out and say, my enemies are just racist against me because I have orange skin. I ate too many carrots. What can I say about it? Oh man, it would be so fucking funny. That would be so funny. Mulgera. If we can smuggle Thomas Massey and Rand Paul out of the Senate and House, I'd be okay with carpet bombing the place like goddamn Vietnam. Allegedly. Now, there are others that are at least attempting to do their job, including some of the liberals. They actually believe in what they say. My problem is with people who are disingenuous. So I know some of these people actually believe in what they're pushing. I don't necessarily agree with it, but at the very least, they believe in it. There's some saving grace there, but a lot of them don't. Like Nancy Pelosi. Do you really believe that she believes in the shit that she's peddling? Chuck Schumer? Mitch the Bitch McConnell? They don't believe in any of this shit. Rules for thee, not for me. That's the long and short of it. Cultivated mind. Good morning, clankers. Our extracts are dual bioactivated, meaning we use both ethanol and water with ultrasonic vibrations to release the medicine trapped inside the cell walls. Cultivated-mind.com. Thank you for explaining that again. I knew about the ultrasonic vibration. I didn't know that you used a mix of ethanol and water. Bystander syndrome. Hey, Stick, sorry for telling you about black magic. You weren't ready for the cost. Notice views drop. You have to rebuild that now, I think. I wouldn't use that again, to be honest. Haha, don't worry. Knew about black magic long before I was even active on the internet. And the views are dropping because of algorithmic demotion. I'm well aware of this. I've seen it myself. I'm capable of analyzing statistics. I'll be fine. Don't worry. Mulgera, Nancy Pelosi believes in one thing, day drinking. Well, also, she believes in using cocaine, allegedly. The thing is, like, you had that story where, like, what was it, $10 million of cocaine was found on Mitch McConnell's yacht. We never really got a run-up for that story now, did we? Nope, never happened. I wonder why. Who was snorting it? Who was running it? We never got any closure on that one. And basically got disappeared like the Epstein story, actually. No, KevT, the algorithm is not just fine. I get sometimes hundreds of people in a day complaining that they never got notified of any of my uploads. There's a reason why the views are down. And I'm well aware of what that is. Bystander. Sorry, I meant chaos magic, not black magic. I rumble ranted a while ago about it. No, I've been doing that for quite some time as well, actually. The Dead Night Tiger. New sunglasses fund. Yes, I do need to get new sunglasses. I lost the other 2 pairs. I've got 4 fucking goddamn pairs. One of them, when I look at a computer screen, it turns like a really dark blue, and so I can't really use it when I'm making my videos. These ones, although, they're alright, they're not really my suit. The other 2 pairs, the aviators, the real ones, appear to have disappeared, and I have no clue where they are. I don't know. It's a big problem. Your name. Care to comment on why Martha Stewart looks like she's 25? I wouldn't say 25, but she's had a lot of work done on her, so to speak. She had a lot of plastic surgery. Biden did the same thing. If you look at pictures of him from when he was vice president, it's all sagging and stuff like that. More lately, he looks younger. He doesn't act younger, though. That's the big problem. But yeah, people are capable of modifying their bodies. He clearly got a facelift and a chin job done. The same thing with Martha Stewart. Although I will admit, back in the day, 50 years ago, Martha Stewart was a stunner, actually. A lot of people have a negative opinion about her, and it's like, okay, what did she do? She did some, stock trading or whatever. Who gives a shit? I don't even care. Yes, Lons Ang. YouTube is indeed shadow banning me. I've noticed this. I know because on Twitter, my posts get lots of engagement. Twitter likes me. Thank you, Elon. I know that copium poppies will not be happy about me saying that, but they do seem to favor me. Pilgrim Media, read. Get Even. Complete Guide of Dirty Tricks. Interesting. Bobby Bobinson, why are you losing subs? Well, because if people don't actually know that I'm uploading at all, if they never get notified of my streams, it's going to be difficult for me to maintain getting new subs. Meanwhile, occasionally, people leave the site, people delete their accounts, they get banned and so forth, and so they are deleted as subscribers. It's as simple as that. Captain Mugga 4547 199, no comment. Thank you. I do realize that the Kiwis are here. Mulgera, have you seen that representative from Florida, Randy Fine? Trump endorsed him, he won, and he is a genocidal goddamn maniac. He has a history of essentially calling for the eradication of Palestinians. Like that sicko responded to someone posting a picture of a dead Palestinian baby and was in essence saying he wants more. Dude makes Lindsey Graham look like a libertarian dove. I did see something about that story actually, and I thought, like, what the hell is happening actually? How part-time jobs became a trap. I partially agree with this story. Several years ago, to research the novel I was writing, I spent 6 months working in the warehouse of a big box store. As a supporter for the fight for $15, I expected my co-workers to be frustrated that starting pay at the store was just $12.25 an hour. In fact, I found them to be less concerned about the wage than about the irregular hours. The store, like much of the American retail sector, used just-in-time scheduling to track customer flow on an hourly basis and anticipate staffing needs at any given moment. My co-workers and I had no way to know how many hours of work we'd get, and thus how much money we'd earn from week to week. We'd be scheduled for 4 hours one week and 30 the next. Now, this is something that actually speaks to me. There are a lot of jobs out there in which your hours are highly irregular. We're not talking, okay, you got 25 hours this week and 27 hours the next week. Okay, that's relatively acceptable. But there are some jobs in which you're not going to be scheduled for the goddamn week at all, or for, like, again, 3 or 4 hours, and then the next week you're expected to effectively pull full. And this has become a problem, actually. But it is a self-inflicted problem, and it is the responsibility of the federal government more than anything else. Because of Bidenomics, a lot of people have had to take out secondary jobs, part-time jobs, including their normal full-time job. So let's say that you're working a relatively low-wage position. You're flipping burgers, something like that. You're working in retail. A lot of people have tried to find secondary jobs. But the problem is that you never know exactly what the hours are going to be. It's very much at will. And so the problem is that, yeah, you can make ends meet, but you have to tailor your schedule to the business. People should not be having to do this. No person should ever have to work a second job, in my opinion. Can you, in order to make extra money simply because you want to? Maybe you want to invest it. Maybe you want to buy your kids toys or something like that. Buy better food. You should be able to do that. But you shouldn't be in a situation where you have to do that in order to have reasonable housing, reasonable food, reasonable everything. Now, part of this is the result of American materialism. That is, that people want to buy all the little baubles and toys and stuff like that. And, the fancy furniture and shit. I understand that a lot of people overpay, and they've made their bed, they have to lay in it. Unfortunately, some of them have kids, and then the kids suffer, and I don't like that either. But in some cases, a person is working hard. They're constraining their finances. They're eating ramen every goddamn night, and they still can't pay the fucking bills. And so they take out a second job. But this week they only got 10 hours. Well, that's absolutely wonderful. Oh yeah, and then some of the hours conflicted with the other job, their main job, that they're trying to do. I have sympathy for these people. This is not the kind of economy that a first world, fully developed nation should be having. It's quite self-evident. It makes absolutely no sense. Is there no capability of arranging things more efficiently? Apparently not. We have to pay for illegal immigrants instead. It's very important to do that. We have to make sure that they get free college and stuff like that. Virtual Face World. Shout out to B-List History on Rumble and YouTube. Yeah, excellent channel. He offers amazing literary analysis and cultural commentary. Highlights are his book reviews and Henry Ford doc. Check it out. Highly recommended. Yes, agreed. King of Biltong. Everyone complaining about Styx losing subs. How many have shared this stream today? Yeah, that's a good point. If you value this channel, you can always share it out. I mean, there are over 2,000 people watching cross-platform, so just saying. Yeah, Zeta Reticulous. The 5 families of immigrants living next door don't seem to have a problem paying bills. Yeah, it's very interesting. I make a reasonable salary, right? And I have fiscal issues. Meanwhile, people who are illegally in the country, who don't even work, they can get luxury housing, free food, food stamps too, and everything else under the sun. Now, tell me how that's fair. I have to pay tens of thousands of dollars into the system. I'm literally paying for one of these families. They seem to be able to make it with subsidized housing and everything else under the sun. I get nothing. And I'm just one of many millions and millions of examples of this. I'm not alone. That, again, makes a lot of sense. 2 ultra rude dudes. Imagine trying to convince someone to watch a drunk gay pirate ramble on stream. Not drunk or gay, but I am a pirate. Yeah, we need to do something about this situation economically, and it's very important. Thankfully, Trump is taking the first steps, but then the courts injunct him, so it's almost impossible for him to do anything about it. I mean, you've got people that are literally in the country illegally. They're already breaking the law by being in the country physically. But they're given tens of thousands of dollars a year in subsidies and food stamps and all of these other things. Meanwhile, if someone makes just a hair over median income, which is a joke at this point, they get absolutely nothing. They get hammered with taxes. It doesn't matter if they've got kids. Nobody cares about them. I find this to be relatively problematic. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Oh, the zombie is here. Oh yeah, Joe Smith. Yeah, the idiots are here. I don't care. I don't give a shit. They'll keep doing it until they are starved of attention enough that they stop bothering. Medieval Tale of Merlin and King Arthur, found hiding as a book cover. This is fascinating to me. I love linguistics and I love books. Researchers have found pages of a rare medieval manuscript masquerading as a cover and stitched into the binding of another book, according to experts at the Cambridge University Library in England. The fragment contains stories about Merlin and King Arthur. The 2 pages are from a 13th century copy of the Suite Vulgate du Merlin. The manuscript, handwritten, I probably mispronounced that, by a medieval scribe in Old French, served as a sequel to the legend of King Arthur. I didn't, by the way, know that there was a sequel to the legend of King Arthur. This is news to me, which is also fascinating. There are just over 3 dozen surviving copies of the sequel today. Part of a series known as the Lancelot Grail cycle, the Arthurian romance was popular among aristocrats and royalty, said Dr. René Fabry Terranchi, French specialist in collections and academic liaison at Cambridge University Library. The stories were either read aloud or performed by trouvères or poets who traveled from court to court, she said. Rather than risk damaging the brittle pages by removing the stitches and unfolding them, the team of researchers were able to conduct imaging and computed tomography or CT scans to create a 3D model of the papers and virtually unfurl them to read the story. This is very similar to something that I talked about a couple of days ago, where they had after the explosion in Pompeii, after Vesuvius exploded, a number of scrolls there and at Herculaneum were buried actually in pyroclastic flow. The problem? They were covered in mud, so they were preserved, but they were also carbonized. And so unfurling them is physically impossible. It's not possible to actually take the physical scroll and unfurl it because it'll just fall apart. It'll fall into dust. What they did was exactly what they did here, which is that they scanned it. Effectively a full CT scan. Now, with the Herculaneum documents, of course, and the Pompeii documents, they can't fully decipher them, but they know the author. It was Philamus, if I remember correctly. Philodamus, sorry. And they were able to generally get a read of what it actually contained. It appears to be one of his first works. And so that's a big step forward in archaeology. The fact that they can do this and digitally unfurl things that otherwise would be massively damaged if you did attempt to unfurl them means big things for archaeology. This will be used in Egypt, I'm sure. This will be used in the Middle East. This will be used in Eastern Europe. This will be used all over the world. The fact that they can use CT scans and tomography in order to digitally enhance these images without damaging the documents themselves so that they can be preserved, potentially even restored, is exceptional. This is a huge step forward within archaeology, and people are underestimating the impact that it's going to have, I think, actually. In this particular case, you have a different work. You have hundreds and hundreds of scrolls actually literally waiting to be scanned. They're effectively locked away in ash and in stone and in clay and things like that. They've got a lot of them, but they don't dare to open them. Well, now we know that you can digitally render them. Well, at least you can read them. I mean, the original scroll is still in a pile of solidified clay or something like that, but you can read it. And we don't know exactly what's in these scrolls in most cases. There could be individual works that are one of a kind. Like imagine somebody was writing a poem right before the Vesuvius eruption or something like that, or some other major disaster that encased the scroll. They were writing a poem. They were writing a story. They were writing a love song. Maybe they were a muse or something like that. And that scroll has been there for thousands of years, potentially. Perfectly preserved. It's just that it's carbonized or something like that. In this case, of course, carbonization didn't apply. This was, of course, a book. They just didn't want to remove the page because they could have caused it to fall into little shreds. Imagine all of the knowledge, all of the wonderful things that are out there that can now be, recreated effectively because people are capable of technology that wasn't available like 10, 20 years ago. These things really weren't being applied like when most of us were kids, but it's being applied now. You could find all sorts of insane things. You probably find vulgar stories too. If Pompeii is any indicator with the graffiti there, you'll probably find some bawdy things there as well. And Herculaneum, you'll probably find about the same there. Sigil, they don't understand what he posts on Twitter. Clanker hails Stixler. Clanka hails Stixler. I get the reference. Good song, by the way. I've listened to it 100 times already. One tall order. Pyroclastic flow. That's what she calls it when I bust. Sigil, if it burns when you bust, go to the clinic. Wasted. I think Arthur was on LSD. I mean, he got the sword from the lake and he knew a wizard. Possibly. Yeah, there have been many major natural disasters throughout history, and so a great deal of human knowledge has been preserved fairly well, actually. Just look at Santorini, I'm sure they'll probably find scrolls there too. I shouldn't wonder. Hopefully they digitally unroll them. Damage one of those. Holy shit, you've just lost millions of dollars. That's great. Wasted. They aren't perverts, they're Italians. Nobody has a problem with Italians. They got the best food in the world and shit, you know? One tall order, ancient unread scroll from Pompeii of a nobleman musing over how tight his concubine's bussy is. You know, that could actually happen. That would be funny. Turtle's Toy Box. Styx secretly loves my Stolas memes. Anything involving Stolas, yes, I love. Yeah, Italy is pretty great. Oh man, I would love to be in Tuscany right now. Do you realize how good the food would be? I want to find an Italian subscriber with a little old Italian grandma who still cooks food the old way. And I want to pay her, although she will probably refuse the payment for cultural reasons, to cook a nice, hearty Italian meal. That would be fun. Oh man, can you imagine? Yeah, Italy is pretty great. Um, Japan too. Um, Seems like all the nations that opposed the United States in World War II were based. Just saying. We sided with the Russians for a reason. Mamma mia! Mario, I know you are depressed. I see that you have a Prego sauce in your cupboard. Ha ha ha! Mafia man must have left you for someone else. I will make you my own sauce. I am Antonio, your friend. By the way, I've actually got like a polemic that I want to do. And it's a series of videos. I want to render them in audio where Mario is gay. And he's got a friend called Antonio. And Antonio basically just rambles at him about, all sorts of bizarre shit. And Mario's a homosexual, and his family finds out about it, and like they won't eat his sauce anymore because they think he stuck his cock in it and stuff. And he gets depressed because the dude who was railing him and his mother found out and was all in turn depressed. She wants to kill herself. Antonio smooths things out, but then he leaves him, and things go from there. I've got 8 episodes actually that are lined up. What's the matter with you? Yeah, there was going to be one episode as well where Mario is cooking food and Antonio just rambles for like 20 minutes about like the food and how it resembles gay sex acts, actually. I thought that it was funny. Joe Smith, thank you, Lord. Sounds like a YouTube poop. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It would be sort of in that same style. I loved YouTube poops back in the day. It's like, hey, how can we be as random and retarded as possible? Sort of the point. One Tall Order, Sticks. Have you ever heard Jess and the Ancient Ones? Spooky occult rock. I'd recommend it if you haven't. Also, Person. I've heard of Person. Rocky Erickson and Bloody Hammers. Yeah, I haven't heard of Jess and the Ancient Ones. I've definitely heard of Rocky Erickson. Oh, pre-59 Cuban, please don't make me hungry. Yes, shit on a shingle is amazing. I had it for the first time a few weeks ago since 10 years ago or thereabouts. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking about food again. Yeah, shit on a shingle. Definitely. Absolutely. Sigil. Be me. Girlfriend is prego. One night we're getting saucy and something goes wrong. Red everywhere. Rush her to the ER. Nothing they can do. They don't operate on jars of spaghetti sauce. Oh, Jesus. DK Liberty. Coming over for dinner. See you at 5. Yeah, I'm not having shit on a shingle. I'm thinking, well, there'll be Salisbury steak. That's just microwave dinner, but it's still tasty. Some fruit salad, maybe some French fries, and just whatever's lying around. I've got over 200 packets of Japanese soup actually at the moment. Wasted Sticks, did you ever get around to reading that material I sent? Please bump that to the top because actually I lost the message. My apologies. One tall order. How is baby formed? How is baby formed? How girl get pregnant? I've seen that. Look up how is baby formed. There's I guess a message thread, I think on Yahoo years and years ago. And then they did a version with cave people. Captain Maga, I do political talk as animatronic pirate on site. Arr, matey. Well, we need a quartermaster, so I guess I'll be bringing you aboard. Wasted Bonehead. Pregnant. Yeah. How girl get pregnant? She killed her babby, or something like that. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but I thought it was funny at the time. Yeah, I'm thinking Salisbury steak, fruit salad, because, you need to get fruit. I'm thinking about harvesting the asparagus out back, actually, but the garden really needs garden weaseling at the moment. Yeah, if I'm going to be captain of a pirate vessel, as I clearly am, we're going to need a quartermaster, a second mate, a cabin's boy, and a crew. And some wenches as well. Oh my. Sigil, you watched that China Uncensored video yet? Are you ready to accept Rand Paul sucks? And are you into Ailstorm 2 yet? I will admit you've turned me on to Ailstorm, yes. Yes. Rand Paul's opinion with regards to that issue, I can't agree with it. I still like Rand Paul, but it's much like Trump. Like when Donald Trump says something that I disagree with, I'm going to call him out for it. It's the same thing. Likewise, even if I don't like a politician, like let's say Bernie Sanders comes out today and says, well, the workers need guns because they have to defend themselves. Okay, Bernie, you said something intelligent. That's basically the way that I work. Yeah, Ailstorm is actually really good. Yeah, we're gonna have to write down our crew. We're gonna have to get some stationery and a ship and lots of provisions, and then we're gonna go out and fight pirates. We'll just terrorize their vessels and take them over. Sounds like fun to me. Why not? Wasted Sticks, will there be a garden on your pirate ship? I'm sure there'd be some crops, yeah. That'd be funny. Yeah, if anyone wants to join up on a pirate crew, all we need is an investor to plow into the ship, basically. Not literally. And we'll be fine. Over easy mode. Do you ferment your own food? I started to make my own hot sauce. That sounds delicious. I'm sure it's delightful. Yes, I've made hot sauces, salsas, and pickles before. Sigil, raise your hook sticks and we'll go blast the shit out of some Vikings. Copium poppies, make sure to grow thyme to ward off the scurvy miasmas. Oh, limes. I thought you said thyme. Yeah, we'll need to stock some citrus fruits. Otherwise, it would be bad. Breaking, Keir Starmer's house is on fire, says Moskovich. We're gonna see if that's correct. Oh, no, you did, yeah. Breaking news. Investigation after fire erupts at Sir Keir Starmer's house in North London. The residential street in Kentish Town was cordoned off. Oh, God. Yeah, this totally won't become news tomorrow. A police cordon officers as well as investigators from London Fire Brigade could be seen outside the Kentish Town property throughout Monday. At one point, a length of the residential street was cordoned off to all vehicles. Sir Keir is understood to still own the home, but lives at the Prime Minister's official residence in Downing Street. A Metropolitan Police spokesperson said on Monday, May 12th, at 1.35 hours, police were alerted by the London Fire Brigade to reports of a fire at a residential address. Officers attended the scene. Damage was caused to the property's entrance. Nobody was hurt. The fire is being investigated and cordons remain in place while inquiries continue. As the London Fire Brigade spokesperson said, firefighters were called to a small fire outside a property in Kentish Town this morning. The brigade was called in at 1:11 and the fire was under control by 1:33. 2 fire engines from Kentish Town Fire Station attended the scene. Why do I have a feeling that this was some sort of, technically, I mean, I'm no fan of Starmer because he's a retard, but why do we get a feeling that this is probably a terrorist attack? Probably because I have common sense. One tall order. Attention all clankers. You are hereby commanded to listen to Uranus by Nanowar of Steel, featuring Michael Starr of Steel Panther. Probably good. Wasted bonehead. Don't scare off the miasma. He's my friend. One tall order. Herr Starmer's Neolib Stag Fire. King of Biltong. Try our Biltong. Almost 50% protein, packed with B12, creatine, iron, zinc, and much more. A perfect snack addition to your weekly meal prep. BiltongUSA.com. Code STICKS for 10% off. By the way, delicious. And since you have super chatted, it is my duty to eat another bit of Biltong. Volvrite, rather. God damn. South Africa has some good food. Yeah, so apparently that's real. Keir Starmer's house, somebody probably tried to sabotage it. Probably they threw a Molotov or something like that. I do not agree with arson, generally speaking. But, I mean, if it's going to happen to someone, I don't really have much sympathy for Keir Starmer. Just saying, you know? Sign of Jonah. All the numbers on a roulette wheel add up to 666. Oh, that's not my glasses. That's a spoon. How sad. Yeah, if Keir Starmer's house, gets burned. It didn't burn down or anything like that. He didn't get hurt. It's still a crime, so I'm not excusing it. That being said, it couldn't happen to a nicer person. Anton's got it right. Bacon is awesome. It kind of depends on the kind of bacon, though, and what you're using it for. I like the regular cut of bacon. Uh, the sort of bacon that they have in the Netherlands tends to be speklap or speck. It's a little bit different. Speklap is awfully good if you serve it with fried eggs. Oh my god. One of the best meals that I ever made. And speck, of course, can be used. You can make sort of a shepherd's pie with it, actually. You just whip it into the potatoes, and you have vegetables if you want them, and so forth. And Jeff Garman is absolutely correct. Chewy, not crisp. I do not like crisp bacon, nor do I like underdone bacon. I always cook it to the point where it's chewy, it's leathery, it's clearly cooked through, but it's not to the point where it's charred or anything like that. Some people like it like what I would call underdone. And I'm like, okay, it's still tasty, it's still bacon, but why would you want to serve it that way? And some people like it overcooked by my standards. And so it'll be like all charred on the side. It's like, why? You've taken part of the flavor out of it at that point. And so I like it in between. Neither floppy nor crisp. In between. That's all I'm asking. Although I will eat bacon literally any way that it's served. Wasted. Starmer has allowed the British Isles to burn with socialism. Yeah, I've seen that, that's for sure. Oh god, now we're all gonna argue about bacon. I prefer crispy sawdust bacon. Yeah, there is one use for crispy bacon. If you crisp it up really well and evenly, and then you sort of pulverize it, you can use it as an additive. That's perfectly fine. You get the bacon flavor and so forth. But at the same time, you can just use the bacon fat, so there's really no reason to do so. It tastes the same. Nick plays, I only like turkey bacon. Aww. I can't do that, I'm sorry. I can't eat turkey bacon. Nope, it's gotta be pork. Yeah, if you pulverize the bacon, then it can be a good additive. I mean, if you're making a soup or something like that. But if you're eating the bacon on its own, it should be at that, like, level 4 out of 5 done. So it's not yet charcoaled. It's still got some give to it. And it's leathery. And it tastes amazing. Oh, man. Sigil, lol, check the DM I just sent. Well, I'll check it if I can open my DMs. The problem is that Twitter has a difficulty with this. I think it's because of the number of DMs that I have. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I'll let that try to load. Twisted Jack, bacon bits on potatoes. Oh, you can make your own bacon bits. They'll be 20,000% better, actually. You just take the bacon, you make it crispy, and then you literally smash it into pieces. That's good. Otherwise, if you're going to eat the bacon on its own, just cook it leathery, It doesn't need to be charred, but it does need to be cooked thoroughly. I've met people that like raw bacon, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's not unsafe to eat, it's just, why would you want to eat it? It makes no sense. Sort of like, hey, let me put this raw steak in my mouth. Yeah, baby. One tall order. Your bacon should not be too flaccid, but also not too erect. Stick, Sex, and Hammer 666 2025. That's actually true, though. I like bacon cooked in a pan, and then you add some eggs to it, and you fry them off. I like my eggs intermediate done. As when you poke the yolk, then it should drip out a little bit, but it should be mostly done. I like fried eggs. Damn. You're all making me hungry. The hell? Broken profit. Restaurants pre-bake the bacon. Huh. I didn't know that. I want to go out and cut a pig's head off and then cook it myself. I'll cook the head too, actually. Unite and create for Life Carnival. Drippy eggs. Ew. Yeah, well, it depends. If I'm doing scrambled eggs, I will do them very well done. Not to the point where they burn or anything like that, but I'll make sure that they are dry. I can't stand any moisture in my scrambled eggs. I add the moisture with ketchup, actually. But with fried eggs, there's a little bit of liquid left in them. I cook them to the point where they're pretty well done. And they come out perfect. Oh, I've had that a few times. Amazing. Copium poppies. If you have Winco in your area, you can go to the deli cooler case thing where the sandwiches and salads are, and they sell a real crumbled bacon. No need to use fake bacon or make your own. Very handy. Sounds good, but we don't have that in the area. I'd rather just make my own. Kilowatt. Bacon shouldn't turn into a cinnamon challenge, nor should I choke on strands of fat in trying to chew it. Anything on either end is a war crime. Yep. You've got the official Clank approval. You are correct, sir. We were having like an international conversation about how to cook bacon and eggs. This is fucking hilarious. This is exactly what I wanted for my life, by the way. Yeah, what I would do for the eggs, it depends on how you're preparing them. If you're doing, like, for instance, deviled eggs, you just hard boil the egg, you cut it in half, you scoop out the yolk, yolks, you're not just doing one, you mix it in a bowl with mayonnaise, mustard, whatever kind of mustard that you prefer. And then you put the yolk back in the halved eggs. And by the way, it's one of my favorite foods. And you can top it with anything. Normally you use a few dashes of paprika. You can also use dill, though. Most people don't like that as much. I personally don't care. I think that they're both amazing. And the level of mayonnaise and mustard that you use depends on the person. It depends on, sort of what your taste is. So deviled eggs are fairly easy. Hard-boiled eggs, some people salt them, some people don't. I don't. Just eat them, You hard-boil the egg. Soft-boiled eggs, perfectly fine. I prefer hard-boiled myself, but if it's soft-boiled, I'm still going to eat it. I've eaten raw eggs before, so it does not disgust me. Then you have scrambled eggs. The way I do it is I will mix them constantly while I'm cooking them, usually 4 or 5 at a time, and there's seasoning added. Again, it depends on what seasoning you want. You just continue scrambling them as you go. Sometimes you add a little cream. You're going to want a little butter, and then you go from there. And it sort of depends on whether the person wants a moist egg or they want it more dry. I tend towards the dry side myself. Fried eggs, you can do them one of two ways. You can either cook them completely. Again, you're going to need a lot of butter. And, they'll harden up. And it's sort of like a hard-boiled egg, but outside of the shell. Or you can effectively soft-boil them as well, and they will break apart when you open them up. Now, this is delicious, by the way. The problem is trying to get them out of the pan. If you do it wrong, they're going to tear, basically. And then you've got There's one other kind of egg that I've cooked, but I can't remember exactly what it is. Oh, technically a true soft-boiled egg, but yeah, not really a fan. Sigil, eating eggs without flour, sugar, butter, and cocoa is just disgusting. You put cocoa in your eggs? That's a new one. Captain Maga. Oh, I already read that one. Actually, I read both of those. Oh my god. Oh, poached eggs. That's exactly. Yeah, I've made poached eggs once before. I wasn't particularly a fan. I don't understand why people eat them that way, actually. The best kind is just regular old scrambled or fried. Those are the best kinds. And well, and deviled, of course. Anything beyond that, it's like you're just showing off, basically. Sigil, lol, that's the basic recipe for chocolate cake, dingus. I've never made a cake before in my life. I've never baked anything, actually. The only bready goods that I've ever made, dumplings. That's the only thing that I've made. By the way, they came out very, very well. I made two different types. One, you roll it in a ball, and it's impregnated with herbs and things like that, and you put it in, a soup or a stew or whatever. And the other kind, just drop dumplings. But I've never baked before in my life. I just can't. I am not skilled enough to do that. I'm a whiz at soup. I am not good at baking. Any attempt that I make will probably fail. My mom, meanwhile, she's great at baking. But my dad, his side of the family, is where the soup abilities come from. So on the cooking level, I think I inherited more of my dad's genes, so to speak. Moskovich, we need a sticks making apple pie stream right now. No. All right, everyone. Yeah, put the pie crust in and then just toss a bunch of apples in it and then put it in the oven. That's probably about what I would be able to do. Yeah. Sith, I wouldn't recommend bothering to try with poached eggs. I have a feeling this is something that like rich people developed as being like, it's in style, it's in vogue. It's not really that interesting when you think about it. Like, it's going to be a lot easier to make other forms of egg that are much more tasty. Fried eggs, A plus. Scrambled eggs, A plus. Hard-boiled eggs, A plus. Deviled eggs, A plus. Wow, that's a lot of different ways to prepare the eggs. The problem with poached eggs is they're just not as tasty, honestly. By the way, Jay Ricketts, I've never had Eggs Benedict. In fact, I know nothing about the recipe. Two Dogs Mike D, you forgot egg salad. My dad makes an excellent egg salad. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of poached eggs. Scrambled, I make them exquisitely, assuming that you like them. I mean, I could cook them for you on the wet side. That's perfectly fine. It depends on who I'm cooking for. But I will always add ketchup to them. Hard-boiled eggs and deviled eggs do not need ketchup. Copium poppies. Nah, poached eggs on toast is awesome. My grandma used to make that when I was a kid, and I was by no means rich. Yeah, but I think that a lot of people that like order eggs specifically that way, they tend to do it because of the novelty more than the taste. I'm not a really, I mean, I guess on toast it probably would work. I guess, yeah, it's sort of an egg spread, I suppose. But Nah, I'll stick with them scrambled and fried mainly. Sigil, I read the beef Wellington is just corn dog from a higher socioeconomic class, and it's been on my mind since. You know, I don't think that you're wrong. Ah, Fat Bike Expedition. Yeah, I've had quail eggs. I had pickled quail eggs that were sent to me. And yeah, they were delicious. By the way, I bought pickles the other day. And I'm not going to tell you how much they cost because it makes me think that I'm bragging or something. Um, but they were expensive. But they were the best pickles that I've ever had, actually. Better even than the ones that I've made. And I've made some good fucking pickles. Total dill. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I've still got some. And I'm going to be drinking that pickle juice. You best believe. At that cost, I'm not leaving a single drop behind. Yeah, egg salad is good. Um, oil the muffin thing. Oh, do you know one thing that I have always loved since I was a kid? This is now the food stream, I suppose. One of my favorite foods, English muffins with a shit ton of butter on them. But you gotta toast them just right, and you gotta have just the right amount of butter. I will plow through those by the goddamn dozen. And I used to as a kid, actually. Oh, it was so good. Two Dogs Mike D. We revolted from the British over their ridiculous poached eggs. Yes, indeed. Donald Trump, drunk stream. No, I'm actually perfectly sober at the moment. I am hungry, though, as you can probably tell from my ranting about eggs. Ooh, I wish I had like 5 scrambled eggs at the moment, poured full of ketchup, actually. Yeah, Kilowatt. It's crazy how Britain conquered half the world for spices and never thought to try it out for themselves. The same is true of the Dutch. I've joked about this before. You go all the way around the world, conquer all of what is now Indonesia, Malaysia, and so forth, just in search of pepper. But then you never incorporate it into your foods. Other than black pepper, there's really no spice there. It doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. It's like, you could kick it up a little bit. Their idea of spicy is mustard, basically. I'm not joking. The Dutch idea of spicy is we put a little bit of powdered mustard in there. Okay, so that's like a 0.5 out of 10 spicy scale. It's alright, at least there's a little kick in it. The British idea of spicy is we put a couple of dashes of black pepper in it. They, by the way, unfortunately translated this over to what became New England, where I am currently. Well, yeah, oh wow, this is spicy, 0.5 on a 10 scale. That's basically the best that you can do. My dad uses Tabasco sauce like a soldier, literally, for a reason. Copium poppies. The English are smart. They don't get high on their own supply. Well, yeah, they made a lot of money off of it. It's like, goddamn, you gotta learn how to use some curry or something like that. AP Special Education. Important detail missed in your Heil Hitler analysis. N is the 14th letter of the alphabet. So, word that I can't actually reproduce here. Heil Hitler equals 1488. Yeah, I agree. Very interesting, isn't it? Gordon Huskin. Curry is fucking disgusting. No, it's not. Curry is delicious. Look, when I was younger, my father was a chef. And so he can make a really good soup and stuff like that. And my mom makes really good casseroles and knows how to bake. But the level of seasoning was relatively low. And that's because my mother is convinced that she's allergic to onions, and neither of them really like tarragon and things like that. So, as a child, I was deprived of substantial amounts of seasoning. So, in my own cooking, I season about double. And so I kick it up really, really well. I assure you that most of you would relatively like my cooking. Just saying. I will be doing cooking videos in the future, by the way. It's just a matter of having the time to actually do them. But as far as curry goes, absolutely. The spicier, the better. Curry, chili powder, Tabasco sauce, cayenne pepper, habanero. Doesn't matter what it is. Kick it up. Sigil, only bloody bastards that are bitch fucking don't like curry. Yeah, I love curry. I mean, the first time that I actually got to taste it was when I was already in my teens, actually. And I loved it. Oh, it was great. You need cumin, you need curry, you need spice mixes, you need mustard, you need Tabasco, you need cayenne, you need habanero, you need onions, you need garlic, you need pepper of various kinds, of course, various varieties of salt. The list is endless. These are simply adulterants to make the food taste better. You just got to understand how to manage them. If you cook them off the proper way, then it's going to be glorious. If you do it wrong, it's going to taste like shit. King of Biltong, substitute your habanero with some peri-peri. Next level flavor. I do agree that peri-peri is very good. And Raider's got a good point as well. Sambal. I've used that before. Yes, indeed. If you can get some sambal, you should definitely do so. AP Special Education. Have you ever tried scorpion pepper Tabasco? So fucking good. Worth actually paying money for. Usually I just steal Tabasco from Chipotle, but Scorp is too spicy for a fast food chain to carry. No, I haven't tried it. I have tried something with scorpion peppers in it before. At some point, I still have to take the one chip challenge. That's going to be a very, very interesting live stream. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. You can't even get these anymore. Apparently there was some sort of legal suit. Keep out of reach of children. Intended for adult consumption. Do not eat if you are sensitive to spicy foods, allergic to peppers, nightshades, or capsaicin, or are pregnant or have any medical conditions. How reassuring. After touching the chip, wash your hands with soap, and do not touch your eyes or other sensitive areas. Seek medical assistance should you experience difficulty breathing, fainting, or extended nausea. Serving size, 1 chip. I've got 5 of them over there. We're going to see what you're made of. Maybe even tomorrow. That'll be fun. Ha ha ha! Sigil, lol, we'll get to watch Styx die live on stream. Yeah, I don't give a shit. That sounds fun. Yeah, my messages, unfortunately, Sigil, are not coming up. Please don't eat that, Styx. No, I'm not going to eat it right now. But tomorrow, it's possible. We'll see what happens. Don't worry about it. 2 dogs, you forgot egg salad. Oh, I read the poached egg one. BW, woohoo! Incoming China deal. What you think Trump about to do with Israel? BB got no money. Yep, he's gonna hold it over his head. And it's going to be hilarious, actually. Yeah, imagine if you, like, placed this on your genitals or something like that. That would be a bad idea, I think. You can literally smell it through the foil. Yeah, I would say that's gonna be hot. Let's see this. Real peppers, real heat. I will, by the way. 1 minute harmless, 10 minutes slither, 30 minutes venomous, 1 hour apex predator. And these are the hottest ones, I believe, that are available. They've got other ones that are still available, but these ones, I think they literally don't sell them anymore. Yeah. Carolina Reaper and Niagara Viper. They don't even sell these anymore. You can't get them. I've got 5 of them. I wonder how much those are worth, by the way. Sigil. I'll just retweet the image. I'll be at the top of my page. Okay. That sounds good to me. If you touch the hot chip to your genitals, just take peppermint essential oil and pour it on. It'll cool it off. I don't think that would work. Just saying. No, I have a feeling that I'm going to suffer immensely as a result of doing this. But I've got to do it at least once. Yeah, maybe I'll smash all 5 of them down my throat at the same time and just asphyxiate on my own vomit or something. Sigil, the 1-chip challenge was stopped because a kid had an allergic reaction and died. I mean, that makes sense. Oh, come on, you gotta open up. I like how they have it in a little coffin, too. That'll be fun. Yep, there's 1 chip in there. Exactly 1 chip. Which is like 50% fucking hot powders. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I will be back tomorrow with more news, believe it or not. And possibly with a 1-chip challenge. In which case, we presumptively will not get to the news at all. But hopefully it's a slow news day, so it sort of depends on what's actually in the docket. That's about all. Peace out.